Hello guys and gals, I'm Jamie Hazelwood.
And I'm Tommy Sims.
And for today's Claymation Classroom, it is the big day. All of our exercises pay off, and we start our first film.
Woohoo!
Nice. And the first step is pre-planning. The what, why, and how we're shooting this film. So, let's break it down.
So, what are we going to be doing today, Jamie?
Excellent question, Tommy. Today, we will be going to be keeping it simple to help get the gears spinning in our imagination. So, we're going to think about our favorite pet at home or animal and make them the star of our movie. So, it's best if we can get some sort of picture or drawing to work with to create our character. And what have you got there? Ooh.
This is Crash.
Exactly. What I'm going to be doing today is creating a cat, or more specifically, this cat. And this is Crash. My cat here rules the roost, and it's pretty easy to see why. With this great mustache he has in his pattern, that's going to make him distinguishable and memorable. Because that's what we're shooting for here, to make sure that everyone remembers our main characters. Because no one remembers the silly extras in the background. So, we can make a little sketch of him to make a blueprint of how we're going to create and sculpt him. And it's best to think and draw him in shapes, and you can think back to your awesome exercises that you guys have done with Mark to help us out for this. So, Tommy, if you could take it away, sir.
Alrighty then. Thank you, Jamie. So, I'm going to be taking this picture of Crash here, and I'll be basing my drawings off of him. So what I'll be doing is just obviously regular disguised sketchbook. I'll be drawing in pen. You guys can start off in pencil if you like, but I'm just used to drawing with pen. I just start off drawing lightly. And first things first, I always start off with a circle for a head.
Ah, yes, in shapes.
Let me zoom this in for you guys. There we go. That way you can see it a little bit better now. Zoomed in on my hands here. So, alright. The first shape is the circle again. And I'm going to start drawing axis lines here. And these axis lines will tell me where the center of his face is going to be and where his nose is going to line up. And where these axis lines meet, I'm going to draw another circle, and this will be the muzzle area of his mouth. I could even do two to show more detail if I would like.
And the best part about when you guys are drawing all these shapes in here, it really triggers yourself as to when you're building them in clay, because you'll be doing the exact same thing.
Right, so then I'm going to draw another half circle down here, or which would then turn out to be another piece of clay for his lower jaw. I'm just going to kind of shape his head a little bit more to make it more cat-like, kind of fattening it up in a way, if you will.
Yes, he is a husky cat.
He's a big guy.
He's a big man.
So therefore, it's not just the flat circle that you have. You give your character more shape to his head, and obviously we'll show you how to do that when we get to the clay itself. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw in more of his pattern lines here. Circles here for his eyes. Now you guys can see I'm drawing fairly fast and really loose and sketchy, and that's perfectly fine because I can go back in and take more time and slowly draw in the lines that I actually want to be the final lines here. This is just kind of feeling out everything. This is almost like kneading your clay at this point. So if we were sculpting, this is the kneading part. Nice.
And that's the other thing, too, to think about. This isn't necessarily something that's going to be hung up in an art gallery. It's just more of a blueprint, like we're saying. So that way you guys, when we start to sculpt our clay, we got a good reference point.
Right, and then this is just for your reference only. You can go ahead and show your friends and everything. That's perfectly fine, but this is just for you to feel out what your characters are going to look like.
And as we've said before, this is definitely an optional step here. It just really helps you guys out as far as when it comes to sculpting the clay, because you have a good idea in mind when you've been drawing all these shapes that you know exactly how that'll translate into sculpting them.
Right.
And so the format of these little demos in the beginning, we're just going to mainly start triggering the imagination. We'll be kind of breaking them up piece by piece, so that way we don't kind of give you the whole feast right away. We'd like to feed you guys just little appetizers here and there so you can get ready for your big meal. Namely, the animation and shooting of the film. Right,
yep.
Tommy?
Exactly, Jamie. So as you see, while Jamie was telling you guys all that, I drew in the little triangles for his ears and added more pupils to his eyes to give him more life rather than just the flat shapes. And as you can see here, I'm now building on top of the original shapes that I drew, making it more realistic and eventually more three-dimensional. And right now I'm just concentrating on his face because I believe that his head will kind of be the main focus of when we see him on film, or rather his head has the most detail of his body. Crash here, as you can see, kind of has the tuxedo going on, and if we look at another picture of him, he's got little white socks on all of his feet. And
he is a classy cat.
Yep, there's a little bit of white on his underbelly, and other than that, everything else is just all black. So back to this picture here where it shows more detail.
And as we've also been saying as well, this is just the thing that we're going to be doing. If you guys have a favorite dog, or if you have a favorite animal at the zoo, like a lion, zebra, what have you, you guys can go nuts with it.
Right, any type of animal that you would like to build. Right now we're just concentrating on house pets, just to get the gears in your mind going, so that way you can just turn to stuff around your house to inspire you to create animations.
Exactly. And another reason why we're doing something like pets and animals instead of people right away is because pets have this awesome thing where they have 4 legs to help them balance.
Right.
Which will obviously help us when we come to animate and to balance. Because obviously, since this is the beginning, we don't want to get too much into really complicated sort of sculptures or complicated characters. You guys want to just naturally build all that way up. Because we're going to have multiple films, and they're going to just be getting the difficulty levels gradually getting more and more. So we don't want to have it something overly bad where it scares you off right away.
Yeah, we're just going to easily work you into the process with every film as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
Now what I did here was I just quickly shaded in what would be black. I didn't color the entire thing just for time-wise. And as you can see, I'm missing his mustache already.
Exactly. That is his main feature.
And from drawing directly from this photograph here, it kind of looks more on the realistic side of things. And yes, I did go ahead and start with the basic shapes, but I kind of went along more the lines of drawing him borderline realistically. I mean, obviously, he still is very cartoony, but I didn't really exaggerate any of the features. So the next step that I'll take, just to get a feel for this character, is drawing him maybe a little bit more cartoony, maybe a little bit too abstract, but it'll still give us an idea of who he is and who he could be.
Oh,
because then when I get into sculpting, we can go either route, make him more realistic or make him more cartoony, or kind of a mix of both.
Mm-hmm. All depends on yours. Because animation is always about exaggeration, embellishment, all of that above.
And as you can see, he's got these whiskers here all over his face. And that's perfect for drawing in. For when we sculpt him, that might not be able to be sculpted. You could use wire, but with how small he could be, the wires might misshape the clay, because we're not going to be baking the clay is going to stay raw. So if you have any type of wire inside and you have to move the wire might peel away from the clay itself, or the clay would peel away from the wire, and you would have to reshape and reblend everything around that wire to make it seem realistic on film.
Yeah, the only really way to use wire is if something's baked onto it, so that way it has something to grasp. Otherwise, it'll just peel right off.
Right. But that's more of an advanced technique, but just to kind of dip your toes in the water there so you guys are expecting what will be happening in the future. Because Seymour up here, as we've mentioned before, he does have a wire skeleton inside of him, and his head is baked. And we'll get more in depth in those techniques as we move on into the more advanced classes.
Yep, that's what we'll eventually shoot for, but right now we got to take little baby steps to get all the way up.
Right. I didn't realize it was a little bit off camera, but I was just drawing in his paws down here, and just kind of sketching that in, just to make it more of a finished sketch. And I think that should work for now.
He is one classy looking cat.
Oh yeah.
Yes, so as you can kind of see here, we were just kind of really feeling out what we're going to be doing for our very first film. So we're just kind of getting the characters down. So we kind of want you guys to think about any sort of characters, because this is going to have more than one character, but this main guy here, Crash, will be our star of a show. Ain't that right, Tommy?
Exactly. And then what I'm doing now is just exaggerating his features a little bit more. I'm making his cheeks wider, giving him bigger eyes, just emphasizing him and really caricaturing what we've got going on here. Maybe making his ears bigger, his mustache more curly and sophisticated, if you will.
More dapper.
Exactly. I mean, what you could do is even like give him a top hat and a monocle.
Oh yeah.
It'll give him a lot of character. Now, as you can see on the picture here, and what I did in the previous drawing, is his nose is black, and when we film that, and even what you guys kind of see here is just kind of a big black blob there. What we could even do while animating is make his nose like a pink color, just to kind of give his character more color to his face. If we like. We can decide that once we get into sculpting him, obviously.
Right, because that's the beauty with this, as we've stressed many times. It's just more of a blueprint. You don't have to be exactly making our cat Crash here. You can almost just make more fun version. It's just whatever you feel like.
And as we mentioned too, it doesn't always specifically have to be cats. Right now we're just starting with Crash because he is the cat around Jamie's place here, and he's easily accessible to see and very inspiring. He's done quite a few animated things, if you will, which is perfect to translate into a cartoon or claymation, if you will.
Awesome. And so, now that we have a good little base point, that's a good place for us to stop, for you guys to just kind of keep getting the imagination going. But when we come back, we're going to go into a little bit more of the characters and the story that we're going to be building these characters around.